I'm resident of Collinwood, Joel Sage, joined by my friends Christine Pearson, Cara Tillitz from Between the Shadows and Dark Shadows podcast. We're here to discuss the haunted grounds of Collinwood.
Yeah.
Ladies, what are your theories? Craziness as it may be, because I have my own too. What are yours? Ladies,
I mean, from the very beginning, if we go to the very, very beginning, it's like the question is why? And there's so many reasons of why it could be. And if you go back to the very, very beginning, I was reading up on some of the episodes and watching them and trying to go back to get what everybody's opinion about how everything started.
Yeah.
And I came across the episode where Barnabas was talking to Vicky, and he was describing how the old house, the original Collinwood, got there in the first place, and they brought it over in pieces. And some pieces were from France, some were from here, some were from there. And at the very end of the story, Barnabas was saying that at the very end, the laborers that were putting this house back together for them, it ended up being like a labor of hate instead of love. And I kind of feel like maybe it started there. Like
who's to say who worked on this house? You know, it could have been, you know, it's the chandelier came from France. You know, we could have had, you know, some voodoo people. We don't know where in France it came from. We don't know if it came from Martinique. We don't know, you know, if it came from Paris. But still, there are people who, you know, practice witchcraft. Who, you know, it could have. Maybe some of the pieces themselves could have been cursed as they were being dragged along the rocky coastline. You know, and or, you know, it could have been the grounds itself, or it could have been the widows who put a curse on. There's so much room for speculation, you know.
But like I went back as far back as I could to the very beginning, and that's like when the pieces of the house were being brought. And I thought about that. The laborers that did it got so fed up, and it could be because of Joshua, you know, being bossy or whatever. But like you said, we don't know who these people were. Like, and I think that maybe that's where it could have easily started. Being cursed.
What's something most curses that you see in Dark Shadows have in common? What's the one thing they mostly have in common?
Someone scorned, a woman scorned.
There's that. There's two. That's one. Mostly it's a woman, except for when we get to 1841 Parallel Time, it's Brutus.
Exactly.
Every one of them involves taking a life.
I was gonna say death.
Yeah.
That's very true.
So it's why, to me, the reason the curses work, whether you get to Angelique's, because she curses Barnabas, who's the first person that gets killed? She does.
True.
Yeah.
When you get to Brutus, he's already killed James Forsyth. Then he kills his sister, and then he curses the Collins family. So he's already given 3 lives for a curse to work.
Yeah.
What I'm more getting into with these curses and these is equivalent exchange. You're asking a higher form of power to levy a curse upon someone, but in this sense, it's not so much a someone, it's a something. It's the grounds. So you're asking a malevolent force, whatever it may be. And even when you get into religion, what is Jesus's goal? Jesus's goal is to die on a cross for our sins. What's he given up for our sins to be forgiven? His life.
Yeah.
So you have an equivalent. Sorry to bring up religion. But you get an equivalent exchange out of the whole process where you're giving up something to get something back in return.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad. With Dark Shadows, it's mostly bad.
Right, exactly.
It's got a 99.9% chance of being bad. So that leads me to believe that Native Americans cursed the land of Collinwood. That the ancestors of Indians, because they spoke to the spirits of the land. They spoke to the very core of the earth a lot of times. And whatever they gave up, most likely their lives. Now, I have no proof of this. I have nothing to base it on other than American history and how we sold the land, if you will. And if you, now the widows, could they have cursed the land? My thing of the widows is we don't have an exact date of when they died. We just know they died prior to Josette, sometime prior to Josette. I don't think it was in 1795. And the reason I think Joshua doesn't make any mention of them, honestly, is because they're even older than he is. So I'm sort of curious that, I know we said that Joshua was probably the one who scares them off the land. It may have been one of the older Collinses who scared them off the land and told them to leave. Who knows? But so my focus is more equivalent exchange. You're asking, and even Magda. Okay, yes, she doesn't give up her life right away, but what she does here is by cursing Quentin to be a werewolf, Quentin's going to lose a son. Quentin's going to kill some people. In a sense, he's taking lives. So you have your equivalent exchange with a werewolf, because all a werewolf does is kill people.
Right.
This isn't out of, with a werewolf, it's not so much out of hunger or bloodlust. It's just pure, you could say slasher, I guess.
Yeah. I think so.
So I would say Native Americans probably cursed Collinwood. Not necessarily. Now, to be clear, I don't think they cursed the Collins family specifically. I think they cursed whoever would inhabit the grounds specifically. And that covers the wide range.
I mean, it could have been, now that you say that, it could have been that they cursed the Collins specifically because, maybe the grounds that Collinwood was on was maybe hallowed, and the Collins are rich, they own the town, they don't care, they're going to build their house there. So it could have been that they did actually, if you're going to build, try to build, and if you do, it's going to be cursed, so maybe.
It could go either way.
So
I could,
but that's a very good theory.
That's why we're talking about it. It's all kind of speculation.
I mean, we don't get a lot of info on it, just that. I mean, we were talking. It's like most of the cursed things and the bad things that happen on the grounds of Collinwood seem to happen around the new house, even though it's very old. The new house, but not the old house. I mean, we have Josette there. We have Barnabas's curse at the old house, but everything else that happened to the Collinses, the tragedy of 1970 and the Leviathans, that's where they kind of set up house, and so that specific ground is cursed for some reason, So
now, something Mark B. Perry could do, not saying he will, is because when you're dealing with the Collinses specifically, he could say, well, they were cursed prior to coming to America, the family, in a sense.
Okay.
I thought about that too.
What's you ladies' thoughts on that?
I kind of thought about that too. It's like, what kind of people were they before we knew them? Like, exactly that, pretty much. Like, I totally agree with that. I thought about that, and
maybe they fled Liverpool or wherever they came from, because they're coming to America to make a new life, but they're maybe they were trying to escape a curse, and they thought coming to the new land maybe would get them out of that curse, or the classic running away to escape something bad, but it follows you wherever you go. So
it's just a tiny fact, but they did know Angelique then.
Yeah, they did, and Angelique's mother, because she was the Countess's maid or whatever. So
it's just a little fact there that could have something to do with something.
Definitely. So
that's true. he was messing with a betrothed man. I mean,
Yeah.
she could have pulled anything on the family, like she did at Collinwood.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There's something I'm wondering too. Like, are we going to ever get into the Collins family being part of major historical events in the past? Not just America, mind you, but in Europe, where the Collins family's members entangled in the Crusades. Who knows? Were they part of the Knights Templar?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? We don't. Those are things that, and when you get into the history of the Knights Templar, there's some shady shit there too. But that's the thing. Like, we know that Quentin went to. That's the thing. The Collins family seemed to get around better than Lamont Cranston. Yeah, literally, Quentin goes to Egypt with frickin' Laura on the best one night stand of the best or worst one night stand of his life, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
like you're going to Egypt with a woman who's going to be sacrificial and is going to burst into flames and become this powerful entity, and you take her to Egypt to what, romance her? Like, for the love of God, because Quentin's deep into the occult. And that's another thing too. That's that's one of the best unanswered questions with Dark Shadows. When, not just who, but when and who, what member got into the occult? When did they get into the occult? It wasn't just Quentin.
Exactly. Like, who started? Like, even Barnabas, when Vicky came, oh, I've always been fascinated by the occult. I've always been, interested in, and he wasn't hanged for witchcraft, but I'm sure money had a lot to do with that. But it's like, who got Barnabas into it,
Yeah.
And it's like, and how far back does this go?
Mm-hmm.
And even as far back as the Miranda Duval, Amadeus Collins was condemning her, but we had to believe that there was a Collins there who was into it too, So how far back is this going to go? I mean, probably back to as far back as we can even imagine,
And like you pointed out earlier with like the British side of the family or the European side of the family, that like the Collins family history book, it only goes as far back as when they settled in Collinwood in Collinsport.
Exactly.
Like, as far as I can understand.
Yeah.
So it's like we don't even get like the family history before all that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's the thing about that. When you get into actual history, it's weird because I was discussing this with Butch Rosenbaum when we were talking when we talk westerns. We were having a conversation off camera about William H. Bonney.
mm,
And if you look it up, you don't really find out too much about our buddy William Bonney. Why? Because records weren't really kept.
yeah.
Right.
Very
exactly.
Very true.
It wasn't a case of not enough law. It was a case of too much law, and there was a lot of corruption.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you get into records are subject to question to the people who either A, write them, or B, don't write them.
Exactly.
And when you get into, like, okay, there's a great example with the biography movie Becket, where the Archbishop is assassinated by King Henry. He orders his assassination, and they kill the Archbishop. The Pope orders Henry II to be lashed. The 4 men who murdered Becket, you know where they're sent?
America?
They're sent to the Holy Land pre-Crusades. Basically, they're sent to die.
Yeah.
The Pope does not forgive.
Yeah.
There should he. That's the thing. Like, records, there are a lot of records that are kept.
Yes.
But then there are records that it's why when my history teacher told us, hey, we're doing William H. Bonney, I wanted to strangle him the one day. There's just not a lot of information on him. And he said, I bet you're the only one who's going to come in here and tell me the honest truth of that. He goes, because they'll be like, well, yeah, I found out this. I'm like, no, you didn't. You couldn't have. It's not written down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And he did it on purpose to teach us a lesson that just because there's literal history, that's something that's a part of history, doesn't mean it's always written down.
Exactly.
And the only real thing you can go off of is Pat Garrett's book. And you could either say, well, Pat Garrett lied, or you can read between certain lines. And I said this to Butch. I said, I choose to believe Pat Garrett let William Bonney go. And here's why. Because Pat Garrett was, if you read mostly about Garrett, he wasn't an idiot. He was very much a hunter himself and a gambler. He was sort of he wasn't an outlaw, but he was borderline outlaw.
Yeah.
He knew what it was. So when you get into the Collins family, and did they have royal ties? Most likely. Not saying they were royalty themselves, but they were probably close to the crown than we probably like to believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They were probably close to the kings and the queens.
Definitely.
And when you're given, that's the thing, when explorers were given money by who? Kings and queens, to go explore the land, to find new land, to find new trade routes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Columbus, what was he given money for? To find a new trade route.
Right.
So now he thinks, oh man, I found China. No, you didn't.
Right. Yeah.
No, Christopher, buddy. No, that's not what you found. But good news, you've started a whole new continent in a sense.
Yes.
Right.
And so when you get into the royal family, and you get into the Collins family, and they found the town of Collinsport, Maine.
Mm-hmm.
It's, did they have royal backing doing this, or did they use their own money?
Right.
When did the Collinses become rich?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question.
Yeah, because I mean, if they were given money by kings and queens or whatever, they settled in what eventually became Collinsport, started a cannery, a shipbuilding, and
what makes them so special that everything is named after them.
right,
The town, the hotel,
right,
the grounds, like
they discovered. Now there was a Collins who discovered the town, so he named the town after himself.
Right.
Yeah.
But everything else is named after them too.
yeah,
With that tells you one thing: the Collinses have money.
right.
It's not just the fact that they found the town.
yeah.
And with most, that's the thing. With most small towns, it's like, oh, they'll name it whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, let's name it after a family. Sure, they found the town. Well, let's Collinsport, Collinwood.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ. But when you get into when did the Collins family get rich, I sort of go back to, Naomi, in a sense, who's not a Collins.
Right.
Was her and Joshua's marriage is arranged? Well, when your marriage is arranged, you're usually so little when you meet the young child, when you meet the younger Joshua Collins, she was probably a little girl.
Yeah.
She was initially promised to him.
Mm.
Well, you're going to go live with this family for a while until you're old enough to marry Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
She probably didn't want that.
Right.
Mm.
I mean, who does?
Right. The arranged marriages suck.
Yes, they.
Back in the day, that's all. Like, here, you marry this. No, you don't have a say.
Exactly.
Like, when we all heard this in school, the lunacy of it all is like, huh?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 But when you get into the whole, okay, she has to marry him. Well, does she go along with it, or does she say screw it and board a different ship, and then when she gets older becomes a pirate?
Yeah.
Who knows? We don't know it. Again, there's not enough full-fledged information about not only the Collinses, but their spouses either. We only know what we're told, and we already know we can't rely on too much of that.
Exactly.
there's a margin of truth in there somewhere,
Yeah.
or a kernel of truth, if you will.
Right.
And my guess is that the Collins family themselves probably weren't rich to begin with. That they probably stole money or were just thieves themselves.
Where they married it, like you said, arranged marriages, they married into it.
Yeah, there's that too. That's the thing. Like, all it really takes to get money is a really well planned assassination.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Or they made a facsimile thereof or of a deal with the devil.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we want to be rich, you know, and
Well, there you go.
maybe they didn't pay up, maybe they didn't hold up their end of the agreement with whatever witchcraft was there, and now that they're in Collinwood trying to
Thinking they're
escape
going to
this,
escape it. Yeah.
now they're cursed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a theory that I've been working on, but it's kind of flimsy. But that's what I wonder about that too, because they've had so many dealings with the occult. Okay, which Collins talked to this witch, you know, or this you know, whatever. And you know, if they tried to escape it, well, now all these stories and all these theories and knowledge of witchcraft and the occult are handed down through the generations because that one started it because he wanted to be rich, you know. So I don't know. It's just a theory, but
On Friday, you know what happened on Friday the 13th once? That in France, the king ordered the Templars to be rounded up on Friday the 13th and tortured and then killed when they didn't talk. Yes! Give me 1 second, ladies. Children. You're welcome, sir.
Thanks, Dad.
So they round. Sorry about that. They round them up, and the main Templars, the ones who founded the Templars, for however they did it, got tipped off, and they left with all the Templar treasure, all the Templar gold. Now, many people believe that treasure is on Oak Island. Don't. What if one of the Templars' last name was Collins?
Yeah.
could be.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the Collinses seem to be sailors, people on ship, people who know their way around a ship, around a boat. You know, that's the business that they went into. I mean, Quentin in 1840 went to sea and never came back, died at sea, you know? So,
Man.
totes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you when I first saw the storyline where Quentin went to sea and he died. I'm thinking that's what happens when you fight a Kraken. No,
Truth. Fight that Kraken.
Right.
I could see Quentin fight a mythical sea creature. Like, no, get away from my son, damn it!
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. He was all about that kind of stuff.
But he foraged the way I imagine Burke Devlin would if he were still alive, because I think Burke's still alive.
Yeah.
But
and he became the Phantom.
yes,
he
See,
did.
that's what's weird too. When you think about like Burke Devlin and where they crashed him, they conveniently crashed Burke Devlin's plane where the origin of the Phantom began. That's really see the Dark Shadows writers love to play with people's
I
emotions.
see what you did there.
exactly.
Like, wait, in a South American jungle, where have I heard that story before? Huh? Oh yeah. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
I do agree with you. I do think Burke's alive, and I think he is fighting drug runners using his wits and his skill. Now, whether he dresses in a purple leotard and wears a mask, that's another discussion. That would be cool.
Yes.
Wait,
Oh my God.
which Dark Shadows cast member would you have casted to play Batman? There's one for you.
God. Oh my God. Burt Devlin.
Mitchell Ryan.
Mr. Ryan, yeah, Mr. Ryan would have made a good Batman. I think Louis Edmonds would have made a good Riddler. I'm sorry, I think he would have.
Man.
Hang on, because now I'm thinking on this. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mitch Ryan would have made a good one.
I think
Maybe Joel Carruthers. Maybe.
I slightly thought that for a second.
Maybe.
He's Knight Shining Armor type.
yeah, exactly. But is he Dark Knight material?
No.
You know?
Mitch Ryan was this close to playing Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Think about that.
What?
Really?
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine?
But he ends up playing Will Riker's father.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy, right? Ugh.
That could have taken a completely different turn than it did.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll tell you who I would cast as Nightwing. Don Briscoe.
Oh,
Definitely.
yes.
Don Briscoe would be an excellent Nightwing.
All the way. Yes.
There is no other choice.
Yeah.
For Batman, God, yeah, Mitch Ryan's a great choice. I think when I think of characters who would have fit that part easily, it would have been Mitch Ryan.
Yeah.
God, the roles that man missed out on, but
It's true.
It's like just the way he carries himself, and even the attitude as Burt Devlin that he had, like his demeanor, like totally Bruce Wayne.
Doesn't put up with any tomfoolery.
He could pull Bruce Wayne.
Now, who would you cast to play Superman?
Oh my God,
David Selby.
Yeah, Patrick has said that one too.
David Selby.
What did you see? Did you see in 1841 where he's wearing the blue Superman suit? Pretty much, he's wearing this blue suit, and I swear to God, the way he stands, he looks like Superman.
It's true.
That's very true.
He's even got the curl right here in his forehead.
Oh my goodness.
He was auditioning for Han Solo.
Yes.
Yeah. Man.
Incredible.
Oh, what's a role you would have liked to see David Selby play?
Oh man. I know, me being a David Selby fan and all. Oh my gosh.
Honestly, I think I would have liked to have seen him play Sherlock. Honestly, I would have loved to have seen him in Sherlock. You know, as Sherlock.
That's a pretty good one.
Speaking of Batman, though, David Selby was Commissioner Gordon, like the voiceover, and they did like this movie. I forget when, but it was like the Dark Knight Returns, but like Batman's like much older, and it's like anyway. But I just had to bring that up.
Is it that?
No, it's the Dark Knight Returns, but it's not. It's a cartoon, like it's animated.
Oh, okay.
And David Selby plays Commissioner Gordon.
I was gonna say, in his older years, absolutely, Commissioner Gordon all the way.
It's like I heard that, I'm like, that voice. I know that voice. I said, that's David Selby. But
definitely.
But what role would you want to play?
Oh my God! It's something that you've thought about, but like,
I know
it's like, you're blanking on it. Oh my God! I'm blanking at the moment, honestly. For David Selby, we're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I kind of like.
I'm going to throw it out there. Van Helsing.
Okay.
I'm going to throw it out there.
I'd kind of like to see him play Professor Stokes in the new series.
Oh, that would be cool.
Because I think he could do it. You know, this very wise old man who has seen and done everything, and you know.
Oh, David.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun to see, but
I think like right after Dark Shadows, I think he could have been a badass Van Helsing. Now that I really think about it,
Yeah,
I think he could have done it. But
you're right.
Absolutely.
What about you, Joel?
Oh my God! For me, I'm more of a simple-minded person, so I'm gonna say Ben Matlock.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah,
nice.
Simply because between watching westerns, my grandfather was watching Matlock, and I was like sitting there watching Matlock, and I kept picturing David Selby, even though I knew it wasn't David Selby.
You'll never believe me, but I swear to you, Matlock did cross my mind.
Yeah,
you wouldn't believe me, but I swear to you, it did. Now I wish I would have said it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Matlock was a favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like my grandfather, like he would show me like old films, like in old movies and old westerns, and he would watch Matlock like when the westerns weren't on. So when I wasn't watching John Wayne, Henry Fonda, and them shoot it up, I was watching Matlock.
Yeah.
So, my mother's like, "You spent how many hours watching Matlock?" And I'm like, "I think 7."
Yeah.
Don't judge.
My grandfather's like, no, 6. The westerns were on for the biggest part of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing. My mother walked in, and my grandmother walked in, and we were watching Nevada Smith, and it stars Steve McQueen. If you've ever seen it, this is where Steven Spielberg, the name Nevada Smith, he got the name Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Because Steve McQueen introduces himself as Smith, Nevada Smith. There's a scene where there's this guy taking this knife across this woman's back. And I'm a kid watching this at the time. And my grandmother walks in, "Ray, what the hell are you letting that boy watch?" And my grandfather, without missing one beat, goes, "Well, at least I'm not letting him watch John Carpenter's Halloween like our daughter did."
Oh, busted now.
It's like, what is this? A competition?
Right.
So funny. Dad got similar grief from our mother for letting us watch Dark Shadows, though.
It's true.
So,
it's true.
So,
what are you watching?
You can't get in trouble when like your grandparents let you watch it or your parents let you watch it, because it's like, well, I was just sitting here.
Exactly. Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
Now, when I watched Hellraiser by myself, I had some explaining to do.
Like, what are you watching?
Pretty much.
My mom's like, "Are you watching that Hellraiser movie?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Oh.
She goes, "Those are dirty." But it's that's the thing too with Dark Shadow. Here, that's another thing too with Dark Shadows. Like, I'm sort of wondering how many like occult collectibles Dark Shadows, like the Collins family members, actually collected over the years. Like we see characters like Evan Hanley and Quentin know about the occult, but there had to be a Collins family member who literally collected this stuff and maybe either kept it or traded it.
Right.
Yeah. Mm.
I don't know.
What would surprise you the most that they had a hold of?
I guarantee you we're gonna find, to me, oh shit, a dimensional mirror.
Oh yeah,
right. Yeah.
Like they're down in a room. There's this basement. Now I don't mean like the basement of the great house or the old house. There's an additional basement. There's like a false wall, and somebody's going through the false wall. You would see Excalibur. You would see the Ark of the Covenant. Now I would not be surprised.
Oh my gosh.
And literally on the wall, you would see this mirror, and literally it's a dimensional mirror. It's literally you can go through the damn thing.
Wow.
That wouldn't surprise me, not one bit.
That would be scary as hell. I'm sorry, but it would. That would be scary as hell.
I mean, with all the other crap in that house.
The Collins family have out Indiana Jones, literally.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be shocking or far-fetched either.
No,
No, it wouldn't be.
No.
Now, if they have like, because here's the we know that Quentin had the Book of the Dead for Raw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if one of those cats has the Pinhead Hellraiser puzzle box, there's some problems.
Yes.
We just talked about this.
Clive Barker's got some explaining to do.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Okay, so I have a question. So all of the random oddities that happen in the house, you know, the parallel room or the parallel time in the East Wing, the magic stairway into the past or into the future, and let's see what else, and the ghosts in the West Wing, and the cursed room in the East Wing or whatever it is. Why are all those things there? Are they specific to the house? Are they specific to the family, or are they specific to the grounds being cursed?
Mhm.
That's my question.
I read something earlier today because you said, but I was going to say Rose Cottage
and Rose Cottage, yeah.
Like that dollhouse that was in the kids' playroom was Rose Cottage.
Yeah.
And I read some history that somewhere down the line, like only some people could enter that playroom.
Yeah,
like two others, when they opened the door, it was just like
a linen closet.
Oh, it was a linen closet.
Yeah.
And, like some people call it the laundry room in Collinwood. Like, but some people could actually get in there and like
it was, weird
so
stuff
weird.
like that. Is that specific to the ground being cursed? Is it specific to the Collinses being cursed, or is it
who's messing around
here? Is it the build
like,
of the house? Is it the cursed items that were brought over and dragged along the rugged coastline that are cursed? I mean, why are all those things there?
Yeah.
I sort of wonder when Collinwood's being built.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever we don't hear what materials it's built out of, and I sort of wonder if each of Collinwood is taken from such a sacred place that the house itself is alive.
Right. The house breathes, yes.
And again, that brings what I was saying about Barnabas saying, "Oh, this piece came from here, and this piece came from here." It's like, what you were saying, like, ooh.
Like, here's an example. We hear about the lost city of Atlantis. How do we know that the Collins family aren't Atlanteans?
Truth.
God.
Because there's so little, it could be because nobody was keeping a journal from way back in the day, or it could just be that, I mean, that's a total possibility,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
That's the thing. Like, we don't know everything about the Collins family, and it's deliberate too that the writers basically are telling us only a margin of or a kernel of truth about certain things, and really they're only telling us because they want us to know. So you're sort of left to interpret everything the hell else.
I mean, when you come right down to it, as far back as the Collins is stretched, we know virtually nothing about them.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, we know the highlights, we know the bullet points, but we don't know. We know virtually nothing. And
that reminds me, that linen closet thing that we were saying. Like, I think they might have said something about it in the show, but I think specifically it was in one of Laura Parker's books. I think it was Wolf Moon Rising that it was in. That whatever family was there at that time, that was brought up in that book. Like, they could still get into that room where the dollhouse Rose Cottage was. And it's like, yeah, I think that's where it was.
Interesting.
But I'm gonna borrow from another franchise a bit.
Mm-hmm.
In Stargate Atlantis left Earth.
Mm-hmm.
What if the Collins family aren't from Earth? What if they're in reverse? Atlantis came to Earth and they're the Atlanteans, but their city sunk. It didn't survive. It didn't fully survive staying on land, and they evacuated before it sunk.
Interesting concept.
And they took certain artifacts with them, but along the way they lost some of them.
Interesting.
That is interesting. And it kind of leads me to believe who's to say a Collins isn't one of the Leviathans?
Yeah, like
As
like
well.
an original member. You know.
God,
I know it's like blowing my
I know,
mind
like
over here.
for real. Like the more you talk about it, and the more you dig and speculate, it's like it could be.
Totally.
It's
Right. What's a Leviathan? A sea serpent,
Yes.
creature of the sea, right? So
They're all sailors.
yeah, they're all sailors. So like the Leviathans were always, maybe they were just always meant to be the enemy of the Collins family.
Exactly.
But in the same sense, they didn't want them to be the enemy. They wanted control of them.
Yeah.
Who would you want control of? Your greatest enemy.
Exactly.
And they went after the most dangerous one, Barnabas.
Yeah.
Like,
Jeb was the most immature son of a bitch, literally.
He really is.
Yeah,
he really
was. He was so petty.
He's literally the precursor for Anakin Skywalker.
Totally.
Like,
totally.
If you thought Anakin had a bad temper, well, when do you meet Jeb?
Yeah.
It's like when I watched like the Star Wars prequel, thinking, God, this reminds me of Jeb Hawks. And they're like, who's Jeb Hawks? I'm thinking, you got to watch Dark Shadows. I was like, literally, Jeb blows up pretty much the same way in a weird way. He's in love with Carolyn. He's gonna get married to Carolyn. The Leviathans want him to go buy some book. He don't want to go buy their book. To hell with their book and traditions. It's like for a Leviathan, this guy's literally spitting on their own tradition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder, did the Leviathans choose wrong?
In the end, they did, because I mean, Jeb is the one who made it all fall apart, you know?
Man.
And
only if Bruno would have got a chance to run the Leviathans, things would be so different. They'd have better hair.
They surely would. And better teeth.
Bruno.
They'd all have a dancing lady of their own. Oh, no, that was Aristide. That was Aristide, sorry.
Oh my God.
Wrong saga.
It's so true, though.
That's something Michael Shirk has been Bruno more times than he's been Aristide.
Yeah.
And like with Bruno, like he was Angelique's escort, in 1840. He's then in love with Angelique in 1970 parallel time, and then he's a member of the Leviathans. It's like Bruno really gets around.
He really does.
Yeah.
He really does. Yeah. He's a bandwagon, Mr. Bandwagon.
Yeah.
Do you think that possibly that the Collins family themselves were always meant that their curse is more fate than anything else?
It kind of seemed to be that way after one thing after the other. Maybe they were just the chosen ones.
Yeah.
When you can't find any other explanation or excuse, that is always, sometimes you're just the chosen one.
That's true. And then, I mean, because sometimes things just seem to happen to them for no good reason. I mean, Barnabas's whole thing, dude, you screwed over the wrong woman. I mean, quite literally, you screwed over the wrong woman.
But after we move beyond that, it's like Barnabas had nothing to do with nothing that was happening.
Yeah, he just happened to be part of it,
Thank God he was there, because he helped solve some of this crap. But
yeah, I mean, sometimes the Collins has made stupid mistakes, and that I was like, you kind of brought that on yourself, and Barnabas is one of them.
And maybe it was the sins of the
father.
Like, lying about your history. Like, how dirty are you? How measly are you guys? Like, maybe that's them paying for their sins,
Maybe.
Maybe what Collinwood is really built, not some of the old house, but maybe what Collinwood is built off of.
Yeah.
The last pieces they scrapped from Atlantis. Maybe that's why the house is. I do think that it's whatever the house is built out of, it caused this effect inside the house. The house is alive.
Yes.
So when you see the room is always I think the walls move. There's a game called Thief: Deadly Shadows. Now, it's not a great game. There's a place called the Shellbridge Cradle. Let me tell you something, ladies. You don't want to go to the Shellbridge Cradle. The Shellbridge Cradle was this beautiful, beautiful orphanage, and then it was an insane asylum. But then you learn, oh wait, it was both at the same time.
Oh my God!
Shit. Okay.
And then there was a fire. Well, the place is haunted now. No one goes there. People hear breathing. The place has a goddamn heartbeat. That's Collinwood to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
And I do think there's just something about this house that when they built it, the rooms that you see, like the staircase is something that was always there, but the house brought it to life more so than anything else. The parallel time room was always there. The house brought it more to a physical manifestation.
Yeah.
Did the architect of the house know these things were there? Yes. They had to, because now did they want those things? Who knows? That's something I can't answer. I wish I could. But I do think that, what's your thoughts? Do you think the architect of the house wanted to explore alternate reality?
It's a possibility, and maybe the architect, everything comes back to money. So maybe he didn't, maybe he knew and didn't inform,
Well, and I'd also like to think the architect would have had a lot to do with what items were used, even down to like the wood,
right?
Or whatever was used to build the house. Like they said in that, what Barnabas was telling Vicky, he was like, the wood was chopped down from trees in an ancient forest. Like, I mean, I would like to think that the architect knew each and every piece of material that was being used to build this place.
And also which rooms would have contained what? I mean, because they could have flipped that house around and the parallel time room could have been in the West Wing.
Right.
But instead it's in the East Wing.
Yeah.
And
like they like to brag on, and the old house had like 4 secret passageways and the new house had this and that, and like, what are you trying to do here?
Yeah, exactly.
But very true. Like, yeah. So yes, is my.
So I think yes. I think yes.
Absolutely.
Too. And the one thing, like when Maggie first steps foot in that house, she says, "I've never been in here before." But when she steps in, there is just this look of almost terror on her face. She's lived in Collinsport all of her life, has known this house, has always been there. It's always been creepy to her because it's a big, ugly house on a hill. But the first time she steps in, she's a grown adult, but still has this look of just pure terror. And it makes you wonder, what did she feel stepping into that house? What did she feel that scared her so much?
Like once it's touched you, it's like you can't get away from it.
Exactly. She was like, I've never been in here before, and she's just looking around, and
it's
not like wonderment, like, wow, this place is really beautiful. It's like, what goes on within these 4 walls?
Well, she said something along the lines of when she did walk in for the first time, she's like, yeah, I was right. This place has always scared me, and it still scares me.
Yeah, exactly. Like every fear she's had about this house up until this point, walking in, was confirmed the second she walked in.
Yeah.
So it's like, what did Maggie feel walking in that very first time?
Man.
Yeah.
Maggie Evans may have been our Sam Loomis of the Dark Shadows universe. Yeah. Maybe she sensed the evil in the house.
Yes. I mean, I don't know.
See, because I like before Maggie became the damsel in distress type character. Like they had her as like some sassy badass, like not afraid of anything. Like, or even in the revival, she was the
She was the medium.
She was medium.
Yeah.
Which I liked. Which I really liked.
I really liked that switch that they did with Maggie. She was the medium.
It just made sense, especially with the Maggie that we knew from 66.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of made sense.
Yeah.
So yes as well on that one. Like,
Catherine Lee Scott should have been the female Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Definitely.
She could have been in the Death Wish female version. That'd have been great.
Yeah, totally. I love it.
Which kind of makes you think that Barnabas wasn't too off track. He was just too blinded with the whole looking like Josette thing with Maggie.
Yeah.
Because I think she had that intuition as well, kind of like Vicky had that feeling, that attachment to the past or whatever. You just couldn't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't think Barnabas was too far off.
Yeah.
Because Maggie was pretty in tune to her feelings.
Yeah.
And whether explainable or not. Like even with the earrings, when Willie dropped the earrings off and she just put them on, she was like, boom.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Our buddy Patrick McCrae theorizes that Joshua Collins builds Collinwood because he's a member of the Leviathans.
What did I say?
I will say, if you look at it, okay, they have a house in the old house that's big enough for their family. Why are you building a second house?
Right.
Ooh.
Exactly. Because
when you put it that way, though,
because that old house is big enough for the entire family. The entire family. And they left because the house was cursed.
Yeah.
But then they move into this new house where all kinds of new crap happen, It's a very, very good. I like that.
When you put it that way, it just got like for real like chills. Woo.
Maybe Joshua, our constructor here, he knows about the parallel time rooms because he has seen them pre-build, and he wants the Leviathans to take over that too. Why not?
Yeah.
It's creepy when you think.
I knew Joshua was fishy.
Yeah,
real.
Why else was he so cold towards his own family?
Like he wasn't interested in his marriage. He wasn't interested in love, even loving his kids. Really,
you know who he reminds me of now that we're talking about it? His whole attitude towards his family. It reminds me of Barnabas when he was under the Leviathan's power. Because remember how cold Barnabas was and how sinister he was. Joshua wasn't quite sinister, but he was very cold, very unfeeling, very
sure occupied though.
Yeah.
Like
so I don't know. That's a very good.
That is very good.
I would believe that
assumption. It's like a theory.
Now maybe the Leviathans. The reason the Leviathans don't push Joshua is because he tells them what happened to his son. That hey, he's a he really can't be any service of you. He's a vampire. He can't. I gotta raise Daniel by myself. My wife's gone, so they figure, we'll just wait around and see what the hell happens.
That could be why he didn't kill Barnabas too. It could have just the excuse he used was the Father's love, can't bring myself to do it. Yeah. But what if it was a deal he made with the Leviathans? He's like, you can have him later. Like 200 years later when you're trying to make this plan come to fruition or whatever, he's still going to be there and he'll be your best bet because he'll be a vampire. Well, Joshua didn't see down the road that Eric Lang was going to cure him via Adam. So that was the threat that they used. If you don't do this for us, we'll turn you back into a vampire. I don't know. Here's
this as well. If Barnabas wasn't there, like if he had never gotten out of the coffin, who did they go after? David,
yeah.
So when we're talking about Daniel and Joshua having to protect and raise Daniel, because he did, it just, I don't know. If Barnabas wasn't there, they went after David. They went after the child.
They did, yeah.
I think that's the thing now too with
the next man in line or whatever.
With them going back in time and stuff and doing all this stuff with parallel time. I think what they've created now with Dark Shadows is there's now other variants of ourselves or other realities. Yeah, there's a reality where Barnabas is all the way bad.
Yeah.
He's killed everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Enjoys his existence as a vampire.
Yeah. He's with Angelique, but Angelique's bad.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Like that's the only room they didn't really go into was like an upside down room, like a total
Yeah.
like verse reality.
Yeah.
Like that would have been cool, and we should do
Yeah. I mean, like Parallel Time did have some subtle opposites, but like I would have liked to have seen a time where everything was reversed.
Yeah.
Barnabas was evil, you know.
That's kind of like they did in House of Dark Shadows. That's kind of like Barnabas was just like, boom, I'm a vampire. I love it. Here we go.
Yeah.
Not I love it, but you know what I mean. Like he just totally wasn't reluctant in the movie, which I kind of liked.
He still loves beating the crap out of Willie, let me tell you.
Sure does.
God.
Poor Willie.
That was horrible.
Poor Willie.
God.
I told somebody this. I said it's not Dark Shadows unless Barnabas is smacking the shit out of Willie.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Which they didn't do in the Tim Burton film. Barnabas didn't beat anything out of Willie ever.
That should let you know everything right there.
Yes. True.
This isn't Dark Shadows.
That's the thing too. Like Jackie Earle Haley, I think he would have went for it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked his Freddy Krueger, though the writers didn't do him any favors.
I know.
So
on him.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's. I don't think I have any more questions for you, ladies.
I know this was kind of a tough subject, but I really enjoyed it.
You have to delve into it. You have to. Man.
It was nice to have a challenge.
I know this was the challenge. I love James's theories, by the way. Great job, both of you.
That's what I love.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So
when could you come back?
Ooh, calendar time.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty open, so really this one's on you. So
let me check.
That's the shirt.
I'm pretty open the next 3 weekends. So yeah. Yep. Are you?
Oh yeah, totally. I'm totally open.
Okay. Next 3 weekends are all open.
Let's do House of Dark Shadows versus let's do Barnabas from House versus Barnabas from the series.
Yeah.
Done.
I like it.
That's one I don't even have to study for.
I was going to it now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm still making my wife watch House of Dark Shadows this week. So.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And see, because I can at least get a comment out of Julie, and she'll be like, "Yeah." I remember, like, she tells me too. She goes, "I'll tell you what, Jonathan Fridd is an attractive man." And I'm just like looking at her like, what am I? God.
Just tell her she has a lady boner for him.
Well, that's the thing too. She's like, I'm not. She goes, I'm not a man, but if I were a man, I'd have an erection.
I love it.
She goes, Jonathan is very, very handsome. She goes, even as a bad vampire, like a bad guy vampire. If I was Maggie, I would ditch that other dork for Barnabas.
Totes.
There would not be much of a movie if Julie were in it, I'll tell you.
I had this really old friend once. She wasn't really old. I shouldn't say that. She's
a really old friend.
She is a really old friend. I mean, she's pretty old. I think she's 80 now. But anyway, she watched Dark Shadows when it aired, and I was telling her about this, and she was like, I'd let Barnabas bite me anytime. She was one of those ones that watched it as it aired in the 60s, you know. And I'm like, girl, you and me both.
It's not good though. I mean, that's the thing.
I know.
This is not supposed to be a good thing.
Right, Dark Shadows is that good. Like, you could talk about it. I'm like, I'd rather watch this than what's currently on television.
Agreed. 100%. 100%.
Like, there's two shows I enjoy currently, and that's it. It's just like everything else is like,
What are they, if I can be nosy and ask?
Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
And Dark Winds on AMC.
Okay. All right.
That's what I'm enjoying most. And here's the thing, like, I stopped watching wrestling in 2000. Like, I'll monitor what's going, because I have so many friends who still watch wrestling. So I don't even need to watch the damn shit. Yeah. Like, let me get this straight. You sit there for 3 hours on a Monday night, and my friend's like, Oh no, dude, I taped the last hour.
Oh
Taped the last hour.
Okay.
my goodness.
I'm like,
I can't
so what?
think of anything current that I watch.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
At least you don't watch a 3-hour program. Full of
No,
wrestling.
no, no.
Oh my
Titanic was long enough. So.
God. Right?
Or the extended Lord of the Rings.
Oh my gosh!
Woo.
Don't even.
I wake
Don't
up 3
even.
hours later and it's still on. Like, woo.
Well, that's the thing too. I'm like, people were saying about how long Titanic is. I'm raising my hand. I'm like, because at school, I'm like, has any jackass here seen King of Kings or Ben-Hur? Have you never seen those goddamn movies?
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Like those movies were so long they had intermission.
Yes, it's true. Oh my god.
Like,
Wait, we're
that's the
fully
thing, like, I
following.
remember intermission, and it's like that people are like, Titanic so long. I'm like, did it have intermission? They're like, what's intermission? I had to explain it.
Then no, it's not.
Never mind.
I'm like, and no, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio having sex is not intermission. Intermission. Now, if you got out of your seat at that point in time and went to the bathroom, okay, so what?
God.
Oh my goodness.
I've never walked out on a movie, but I tell you, I came close for the movie Hostel. I didn't pay for it though. My brother did. I'm like, what the hell is this?
I know. I said the same thing. I'm like, what is happening? And I watched them both, and I'm like, I went back for more the second time.
Opening day, I can test this. There were 5 goddamn people in the theater. 5 people. And here's the sad part. My brother, myself, Julie, and my brother's friend, and then there was a 5th person down the row.
Oh my goodness.
So 5 people. 5 people. And it's like, I'm like, wow. This is a packed house here, let me tell you. My brother's just like, please shut the fuck up.
Oh my god, hilarious.
I was like, now when we went to go see Rob Zombie's Halloween, that was a packed house.
Okay.
That's different.
Yeah.
that like there was no. It's like this. There were people standing for that shit.
Oh
my
yeah.
gosh.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there were.
Ladies, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I can't wait till next week.
Yes.
Links to the Between the Shadows and Dark Shadows podcast, link to their Facebook page. Go follow at Lady Mongoose for Christine. I don't care for Cara. I don't care 13 for Cara. Yes, she cares, but
Yes, I do.
it could just be I Heart Quentin.
Right. Maybe I'll have to change it there. I might have to.
There'll be a big picture of David Selby. There'll be a big heart on it.
All right. Maybe that'll grab his attention here. Get him over here.
True.
Oh my god. Thank you for putting up with my insanity. I'll see you ladies next weekend.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.